Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World. This video is one of my Persephone book reviews where I take a bunch of Persephone books, 3 to be precise, and review them for you. I think I'm going to do this in order from like least favourite of these three to my favourite. So getting straight into it, first one I have is Fidelity by Susan Glaspell. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this book is set in America in the early 1900s, and it's about this young woman called Ruth who ends up running off with a married man. And years later, years pass by, and sadly her mother passes away, but then her father becomes really ill. And when her mother was dying, she asked Ruth's siblings, so she asked her children for Ruth, and it wasn't done, and therefore Ruth's mother ended up dying without seeing Ruth again. And when their father was really ill and coming to the end of his life, they were like, right, it's not happening again, we're going to get in touch with Ruth, get her over here so she can see dad again, etc, etc. So Ruth comes back into the family fold, and it's weird because the way in which she knew she would be judged because of what she did and her actions, she's still very much judged in society for that. And it's almost like these decade plus that has gone on, she's still in exactly the same position, and it's the feelings that society has of her because of what she did and what she still continues to do. She's still in a relationship with this married man, and it's how society is judging her, so to speak, but how some people are accepting of it and modern of it, but some people are still very judgmental. I liked this book. I thought it was good. I enjoyed the writing style. I thought it was a great reflection of society at that time. The thing that I thought was slightly detrimental to this book was the fact that it was very long, and I feel like it could have been 100 pages shorter. I felt sometimes it was just going on for the sake of going on sort of thing. I still enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars, but yeah, I just felt it just didn't need to be as long as it was. I mean, it's 358 pages, to be honest. I think you could have made it a 250 page book and it still have had the same sort of feelings and effect, but it was still good, just not one of the best Persephone books that I have read, but still definitely worth a read. Then the next one that I have to share with you is Mariana by Monica Dickens. This is one of the most well-known Persephone books, and they actually do it in the illustrated format, but I just have it in the grey. This one is number 2 in the Persephone collection, and I should have said this one's number 4, so some of the early ones here. So Mariana is our main character, Mary, let's call her Mary, and we meet her as a child, and she lives with her mom, and we basically have this kind of coming of age story. So we see her with her family, we see her going to school, we see her doing exams and hobbies and interacting with other children, we see her growing up, we see her in relationships, etc, etc, and we see her becoming a young woman. And this book was just flipping wonderful. I often don't like coming of age stories because I often have a problem with like the children, like either the children really annoy me, which is usually what happens, but I like the adult when they grow up. Or sometimes it's the other way around, like I like them as children but I don't like them as adults. Sometimes it's like that as well. But with this one, I liked Mary as a child and I liked her as an adult, and it was wonderful. And I remember I was reading it and I got, you know, a good chunk in and actually didn't have too much left, but still had quite a while to go. And I thought, oh, it's going to end here. It's got to end here, because it ended on like quite what I thought was quite a nice rounded ending, but then it didn't. It just carried on, and for the rest of it my heart was in my mouth. I was like, oh, what's going to happen here, what's going to happen here? And I was so invested in the characters. It was just wonderful. It's a really, really good book. No wonder it was one of Persephone's most well bought and favourite. Monica Dickens' writing is just wonderful and makes this book ever so special. Ratings wise, I gave it 4. I thought it was really, really good. Maybe a 4.5 on on a sort of reread sort of thing. Could push it to a 5, but I think it's quite comfortably at 4.5. So yeah, really good, and highly recommend that one if you haven't got to it already, although I know it is one of the faves. Speaking of favourites, the last one that I have is this one. This is definitely a favourite, isn't it? This is one that everyone talks about. This is Someone at a Distance by Dorothy Whipple. This one, it doesn't say what number it is because it's not in the grey. Of course, it is in the illustrated covers, which they did for the most popular of the works from Persephone. So this book is about a woman known as Old Mrs. North. So her name is Mrs. North, but she's seen as Old Mrs. North. Now, Old Mrs. North had 3 children, one of which, Avery, lives close by with his family. So he has his wife Ellen, he has his 2 children. But despite living close by, Mrs. North doesn't see them and the rest of her children as much as she wants to. She feels a bit lonely. So she answers an advertisement for a young French girl to come and stay with her so she doesn't feel so lonely. And then this young French girl called Louise arrives, and she really shakes up the dynamic of the North family. And what can I say about this book other than it was really, really flipping brilliant? I really enjoyed the writing. It was so addictive. I mean, it's quite a big book. Excuse me. It's big-ish. It's just over 400 pages, but I absolutely wolfed through it. I got through it in like 2-3 days maximum. I thought it was really good. The writing style was wonderful. I loved Ellen, or young Mrs. North, whatever you want to call her. I think she's just brilliant, and she's one of those characters that I think will stay with me for a really long time because she's just generally a good egg. She's a good person, and she feels very real and like the type of person that I see myself in a little bit. Not to say that I'm a really good egg, but just heart on sleeve sort of thing. I hated the character of Louise from the first page she was mentioned. I hated her. Honestly, I was like, I hate this girl. I hate her. But by the end, I really enjoyed hating her. At the beginning, I was just like, I don't know if I'm meant to hate her, but I do hate her. But by the end, I was like, I hate her, and I like hating her. It's great. I just really, really liked it. And I think maybe next time round, it could be a 5-star book, but for now, it's a 4.5 star. The reason why I say next time round on the reread is simply because I know what's going to happen. So that kind of tummy in knots, heart beating sort of thing that I get a lot with books on the first time round. Now I know what's going to happen, and I already know the plot. I know what's going to happen at the end. It's all fine, so I can just sit back and enjoy the story and enjoy the writing style a bit more, rather than being like, is this going to happen, this going to happen, what's Ellen going to be like at the end? I can just chill out, and I much prefer rereading to readings because you don't get that kind of anxiety sort of feel. So yeah, maybe a 5-star read on the next time, but certainly a 4.5 star this time. So that is it. That is my little Persephone book reviews. So we have Fidelity, Mariana, and Someone at a Distance, and I hope at least one of these 3 has taken your fancy. If so, in the comment section, let me know which one, or have you already read them all? That's what I'd like to know, because I love Persephone and I want to at one point read their whole collection. That would be a dream. Anyway, that is it for this book video. Take care, and I shall see you soon for the next one. Bye for now.